Is AI better than your doctor?
Topic preview. Audio and captions begin shortly. Could a machine with 86.5% accuracy outsmart your doctor? Or is there a hidden human secret it will never master? While AI is a data genius, its accuracy plummets the moment it tries to have a real, natural conversation with a patient. You see, a computer can recognize sadness, but it can't actually feel worry. And that genuine care is exactly what inspires patients to follow their treatment. The future isn't a robot takeover. It's a synergy where the silicon handles the massive data so your doctor can focus on the heart.
Welcome to the debate. So when we think of medicine, there is this universal visceral image, right? The stethoscope.
Oh, yeah.
You feel that cold metal pressed against your back. You hear the doctor tell you to breathe deep, and you just inherently trust the ears on the other end.
Yeah. It's an intensely physical, human moment, a literal connection between two individuals, listening for signs of life.
Right. But what if those human ears are actually the weakest link in the diagnostic chain? Today, we are asking a profound question. Is artificial intelligence actually better than your doctor?
That is a massive question.
Exactly. Are we looking at digital deities that will render human physicians obsolete, or merely clinical interns, best used for basic administrative work? I argue that AI is demonstrably superior and honestly fundamentally safer in core clinical tasks.
And I come at it from a completely different way. Treating AI as anything more than a clinical intern fundamentally misunderstands what medicine actually is. AI categorically fails at the human elements that are absolutely essential for real medical practice and, ultimately, patient outcomes.
Well, let's strip away the romance of medicine for a second and look at raw analytical capability. AI is already operating at an expert level. Google's MedPalm 2 achieved, 86.5% accuracy on US-style medical exams?
But exams are just theory, right?
Sure, but let's look at tangible patient safety. In triage scenarios, the Babylon AI assistant provided safe triage recommendations 97% of the time. Compare that to human doctors at 93.1%.
Wow.
Yeah, that 4% gap represents real human lives. The mechanism here is simple. An algorithm processes millions of data points simultaneously and maps out probability vectors with unyielding consistency. It is entirely immune to the decision fatigue that plagues a physician at the end of a 14-hour shift.
Right. I don't dispute the raw processing power, but medicine is rarely a perfectly packaged data set. You're assuming the data fed into the AI is accurate to begin with.
Okay, so how do you mean?
Well, how do we get that data? Through history taking. When an AI attempts to interview patients directly to gather information, its diagnostic accuracy plummets from 82% down to 63%.
Wait, really? 63?
Yes. Why? Because an AI cannot guide a natural conversation. It completely lacks the contextual grounding to know when a patient's hesitation means they're, say, hiding a symptom.
Ah, I see.
Or when to ask an intuitive follow-up question based on just a slight shift in tone. It is literally blind to the unsaid data.
Okay, but that history-taking limitation is a temporary interface issue. It's not a fundamental flaw in clinical reasoning. In fact, when we look at how human fallibility interacts with these tools, the human element becomes a distinct liability through, automation neglect.
Automation neglect?
Yeah. AI alone sometimes outperforms human doctors who are actively using that exact same AI as a tool. Highly trained professionals succumb to cognitive bias. They develop an ego blindness, where they become so overconfident in their initial impressions that they just ignore the algorithm's correct diagnosis.
That's just human nature.
Right. But it is exactly like ignoring a navigation system's optimal route because you've driven the road 1,000 times. You rely on your gut, ignore the real-time traffic data the computer can see, and end up driving straight into a bottleneck. The human ego actively overrides statistical superiority.
Hold on. Healthcare isn't routing a car, though. That analogy doesn't really work because medicine requires a fundamental foundation of trust.
How so?
If a navigation system makes a mistake, you lose 10 minutes. If a medical AI hallucinates a symptom, the consequences are catastrophic. And this brings us to empathy.
Right.
An AI might possess cognitive empathy, sure. It can mathematically scan a face and recognize the facial geometry of sadness. But it fundamentally lacks emotional empathy. It cannot actually feel concern.
But does a machine really need to feel actual concern to accurately cure disease? Like, really?
It absolutely does if you want the patient to actually take the cure. Patients are only likely to adhere to treatment plans if they believe their doctor is genuinely worried about them. A robot cannot worry. If a patient feels they are just a data point on an automated assembly line, medical compliance drops. The sociological mechanism of healing heavily relies on trust and shared humanity.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a different perspective. Is a sympathetic, deeply human misdiagnosis inherently better than a cold, highly accurate AI triage?
Well, because if the ultimate goal of medicine is survival, I would much rather have the unfeeling algorithm that catches a severe condition 97% of the time. Honestly, rather than the deeply empathetic physician who misses it because they were simply exhausted. That presents a false dichotomy, though. We don't have to choose between warm incompetence and cold perfection. The absolute necessity of human empathy and nuanced history gathering cannot be automated away without fundamentally compromising patient care.
And I still maintain that AI's statistical superiority in massive data analysis and repetitive screening sets a new standard for patient safety, one that humans simply cannot match alone. But perhaps that's exactly where the real solution lies.
What do you mean?
We're arguing over who takes the lead, but the most credible path forward is synergy.
Right, a partnership. Let the AI handle the massive data processing and the clinical screening where it excels,
Exactly.
freeing up the human physician to focus on complex reasoning, reading the unsaid cues during history taking, and providing that vital emotional empathy.
There is certainly much more to explore regarding how this human-AI partnership will actually function in our hospitals.
Absolutely.
But for now, we leave it to you to weigh the value of pure analytical accuracy against the necessity of human connection when your health is on the line. Think back to that cold metal stethoscope on your back. Tomorrow, the ears listening on the other end might be digital, and that might just be what saves your life.
Hi, thanks for watching. If you want more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel. Bye.